Welcome back to the M3 podcast. This week, we got Logan and Dre on from the MMG crew and Mitch Smedley.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I pronounced that right?
Me. Yep.
All right.
Yep. Spot on.
So, the wild thing is, our companies have been partnered together, and I've met you an hour and a half ago.
Right.
So, and I was told by the team around the office that this was going to be a great podcast.
Well, I got big shoes to fill, I guess.
Which I was pretty excited for. I've seen the videos online already, what your guys' company's putting out, and I knew just right out the cuff that I'm like, okay, he's good in front camera.
Wait do you see what we shot yesterday?
I'm excited for it. And the cool thing is, right before, I just learned that you've dropped like 200 podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the podcast subject?
What for my podcast?
Yeah,
or
for yours.
Yeah, so we do a podcast called The Void, and it is basically for people that are wanting to start their own business, like a trades-based business.
Okay.
We give them all the info they need to start your own trades business and be successful. So that actually spawned into another business where we do like coaching and consulting. We were getting so many questions from the podcast that we were like, all right, let's make this thing honest. And so we have another little entity called Trade Wins where people can partner up with us and we coach and consult them to grow either start their company or grow it.
Very cool.
So, yeah, it's fun stuff.
So where do we want to start the whole story? Where does Mitch's story start?
Well, since we're marketing themed, I'd probably go like the grassroots kind of marketing stuff that we did before.
We don't even have to go marketing thing. We can go
we can go wherever.
When did the plumbing side start?
So my first day as a plumber was September 11th, 2001.
Wow.
Like everybody knows where they were that day. I went to K-State for a semester, got great grades in high school, did not do good in K-State. And it wasn't because I was too broke to party a lot. So it wasn't because I was partying. I don't know why. I just could not succeed at K-State. So I'm like, well, if I'm paying all this university money and I'm not doing good, I might as well save money and not do good in Longview College. So I came back and went to community college. And then I just decided, maybe college isn't for me. And so I enlisted into the Navy. My third day in basic training, they found me unresponsive on a sidewalk from a cardiac event that happened. And so I wake up in the hospital, and they're like, do you have any idea what may have caused this? And I had a condition before that. And so I said, yeah, it's probably this condition, nicknamed SVT. And they were like, oh, well, if you have that, you can't be here. And I'm like, well, I gave all the paperwork to the recruiting officer, and they must have, like, slid it under the table or something. And so they were like, well, we're going to send you home. And it's like, great. I was in the Navy for 3 whole days. And so it took them a couple of weeks to send me home. By the time I got home, it was too late to enroll in another semester of school. And my best friend was like, hey, I just got a job at a plumbing company. It's pretty fun. You should come work here and then go to school next semester. I'm like, all right, cool. And so September 11th, 2001, I got a job as a plumber, and I've never been not a plumber since.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so my college career, I did really well in high school. I didn't do really hot in college. That was kind of where my entrepreneurial spirit started, was I figured out how to sling. I could buy a full gallon of black velvet bourbon, and I could use my Bearcat card to buy all the Cokes out of the vending machine.
Yeah.
I could mix 50-50s, and I could sell them to people for $20 a piece. So
yeah.
That became kind of my jam, and that's how I funded my party. So
yeah, when I was in...
Their statute of limitation, I wasn't selling minors at all.
When I was in high school, the student council sold like T-shirts, right? And every senior class kind of had like their theme. And I don't know how I even got it. I got some like iron-on T-shirt maker thing, and I made my own T-shirt. It's kind of like going against the grain. And it basically said, Blue Springs South High School, class of 2000, we've upped our standards. And then on the back, it said, up yours. And I wore it to school as like revolting against student council shirts. And like 3 or 4 days later, student council has connections. So 3 or 4 days later, here they are in the cafeteria selling like my shirt. And I'm like, damn, that sucks. So,
should have printed more.
Yeah, and I was going to make money off these, and I didn't have the like fulfillment side figured
this
out
is
yet.
trademarked. You're actually
Yeah.
going, I have a lawyer.
Yeah, I didn't have that part set. Like I released the shirt too early, I guess, right?
Jump the gun.
And so then, this was back when CDs were a thing and radio stations would give away CDs. And Mix 93.3 was giving away some like CD with all the banger hits that year. And it was a deal where like if you donated 5 cans of food, you got a CD. And everybody wanted these CDs, but we're in Blue Springs. Mix 93 was like way downtown, you know, and when you're 16, that's a long drive. And so I go to Aldi's and I ask them for donations of canned goods for a charity. And they gave me like 150 cans for free. And then I drove to Mix 93.3 station and I gave them all the cans and they stacked me up with T-shirts. And then I went to school and I'm like, all right, if you cut me out of the deal on the senior shirt, I'm just going to sell these Mix. I sold those CDs for like 10 or 20 bucks a piece. I didn't pay anything for them other than gas. So always been a way to try to find a way to make money somewhere.
I think it's the creative thinking side of it.
Oh, yeah.
I think sometimes, I mean, there's a way to figure anything out.
Yeah.
And I used to always think, I always just focused on being the hardest worker in the room. Like,
Yeah.
I still have the work ethic is still like something that you have to have, but it's also that's what I always I thought was my flex.
Yeah.
And then I started getting into a lot of rooms. I'm like, oh, that's not the flex at all.
Nope.
like I'm working 12-hour days. They're like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Dude. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah. I know how to work hard, but
Yeah.
now I got to find out how to work smart.
Yeah. So you start plumbing, 2001.
Yep.
How long did you work for a company?
19 years.
Oh,
Yeah. I was like way late into the business ownership world. First plumbing company I worked there for 2 years. In the trades, it's kind of unique because you have all of these trades business owners that at one time took the leap and started, took the risk or whatever and started their company. And they spend the entire time telling their employees, like, you don't ever want this. These headaches are crazy. Like, don't ever have your own company. And after hearing that from several different owners and for years and years in the industry, you start to believe it. And then as you get older, you're like, wait a minute. Guy drives Corvette. He's got a lake house. Seems to be doing pretty well. Like, it can't be that bad. And so then you start putting the math to it and everything. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to, if I truly want the freedom, I'm going to have to start my own company. And so we opened Smedley Plumbing in 2020, like mid-pandemic. There was a text I gave to Danielle in January of 2020. At that time, I had built or created plumbing departments for 3 different big companies here in the KC area. And so I'm like, I'm tired of doing this for other people. It's time that we do this for ourselves and make a name for ourselves instead of just improve somebody else's legacy. And she was like, all right, let's do it. Well, that was January of 2020. Like, COVID was a word, but it wasn't it wasn't until March where it like really went crazy. So March happens and she's like, are you sure we still want to do this? Like, we don't even know what next month's going to hold. I'm like, yeah, we're doing it. And so we started in August 1st was our first day in business and haven't looked back since.
Yeah. So Moss Marketing Group, I was in the car business and I put my 2 weeks in and I thought I walk out of the dealership and it's off to the races to go run a company. And I thought I was way smarter than I was at the time. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I thought I was the CEO, the guy.
Everyone's been doing it wrong, but I'm about to do
Yeah.
it right.
I'm about to show them how it's done.
Yeah.
And I have a little bit of money in the bank, and 2 days later, the whole country closes down.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at home like,
Oh, no.
and I'm thinking like, I'm going to take the dealership world by storm.
Yeah.
Now, like every dealership's like, yeah, every marketing dollar was cut overnight, and I'm like,
Crap.
so.
Now we wait.
Yeah.
So I didn't do anything for like 60 days.
Yeah.
60 days, I went and worked out every morning. I had a buddy that ran all the gyms around here. We were going into a gym. We'd park behind a dumpster. We'd go work out for like 2 hours every morning. We'd come sit in my driveway and drink Busch Light.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. We were 6 feet away in the driveway.
Yeah.
But then we had multiple buddies that like performed at Power and Light, stuff like that, country singers. So they come put concerts on. Like the garage was done like this. There just wasn't a table here.
Yeah.
and we'd have like full parties out here, like
Oh yeah,
7 days a week.
yeah.
And-
Super spreader events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super spreader events. I was part of the super spreader events.
Yeah.
But it was just like, so then May of 2020 is when I put out that we actually like started MMG. Or I started. I was by myself in a
The
bedroom.
2-week curve turned into a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 years.
So, but when I started, I think it was like almost a blessing starting in that time.
Yeah.
That it was so complex that as things like kind of leveled out, people that had been in business that took into that
Yep.
and then like came out, it was like they think that affected their business so much. I'm like, that's where we were born.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where it all started.
Yeah.
In just a complete shit show of what
Yeah.
was happening.
Yeah, when we were designing ours, like putting all the pieces in place and putting the business plan together and everything else, I was like, okay, I've spent 19 years in the industry, and I see all these plumbing companies have these big fancy offices, and I don't really see them, like there's not really an ROI to the office. So I'm like, we can save a bunch of money if we build our business around all the CSRs working from their couch at home, like no office. And I'm like, we can set up a desk in our dining room and just run it from there. And then COVID happened, and it's like, well, crap, we're already built for this. Like we aren't, like everyone works remote anyway, so it works perfect.
Yeah.
And like it's easy to hire CSRs that work from home. Mm-hmm. The companies that have a hard time finding CSRs are the ones that are making them come into the office, and so yeah, it was kind of a same thing, kind of a blessing.
So realistically, I thought you'd been in business. I thought you had owned
Yeah,
the plumbing company a lot longer.
yeah, not long. So I did. I worked at LBA Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing here in Kansas City for 10 years. I started their plumbing department. They did plumbing, but not officially as a department. And so I pioneered that and got it up and rolling. And then I left LBA and I went to Bob Hamilton and ran their plumbing department for a year and a half. And that was after he had sold his business to ARS. And that's why I went there, is because I wanted to see like what's it like to work at a place where, you know, private equity has come in. And so I was there for 18 months.
So on that, what did you see that was vastly different with the private equity money?
Oh,
Like
just
kind of running.
like it's a whole different feel. And there's people that, like, I'm not going to knock it. It's not for me,
Yeah.
for sure. I'm not going to knock it, but it's like that whole corporate vibe of like, we don't really care about you as a person. We just care about your results as an employee. And that wasn't really my feel.
Because I feel like a lot of my experience, and I mean, I know guys that are in the private equity world, but it's like the companies that they're going after have made it past that threshold
Yeah.
that they have this big footprint.
Yeah.
Like we were approached at the end of last year, like private equity loves the marketing world.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they love when marketing companies have retainers, they have that residual money coming in. They love all residual money. So it's like, but I know guys that have had these companies that they've ran their whole lives and they've sold out to private equity. And when private equity comes in, they're like, I don't even recognize the company.
Yep.
And they're like, revenue side's fine, like increased.
Yeah.
They know how to increase that revenue side.
Yeah.
But they said like that feel of the company almost disappears.
Yeah. Yeah, there's probably only 2 or 3 employees left over there at Hamilton since the buyout. And it's exactly what you said. The feel's different. It's not what the people were used to, and so they move on. So when I left Hamilton, I wasn't quite ready to start ours yet. And so I jumped on with Climate Control, actually up here in Liberty. And they were trying to buy a plumbing company and couldn't buy one. Nobody wanted to sell. And so they were like, well, we'll just start our own plumbing department. And they'd only done HVAC. They had been in business 33 years. And so I jumped on with them, and I looked at it like as a dry run. Like I already knew when we were going to start ours. And so I looked at it as a dry run of like, here's how I would start a plumbing company. Only I think they had about 4,000 customers in their database and 33 years of good track record. So they had capital to work with and everything else. And we got them up and running, and I was only there for 7 months. And in those 7 months, they didn't, $83,000 a month comes to $1 million a year. We were like 70, like mid 70s. So we weren't quite at the million. They would have been there in the next month or two, but we got them up to speed really fast. And I got them all the systems they needed and everything, gave them a nice notice, and and still have a great relationship with those guys today. And they have since sold out too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's kind of basically I got to learn all the different pieces.
What's kind of the multiplier in more of that trade? Like, is HVAC and plumbing and electric, are they pretty similar in the evaluation multiplier?
Yes and no. So HVAC is probably going to get another extra 1 or 2 on the multiplier, but HVAC is also easier to scale than plumbing.
Okay.
Simply because HVAC, anything you want to buy in HVAC, you kind of have to go through a contractor. You go to Home Depot, Lowe's, and Menards, you can't go buy a furnace. You can't go buy an air conditioner. You can't buy a coil or a compressor or a line set. Anything to do with the refrigeration process, you can't buy. And so you're forced to have to go through a company. Whereas with plumbing, there's not a single thing we do that you can't go find the parts for in Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, online, anything. And so the DIY market caps your ability to rapidly scale in plumbing like it does in HVAC.
Makes sense.
I will say HVAC, I had someone come out and they replaced a compressor.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going, I put my hand on my unit. It's like 120 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
They come out, I kid you not, they're there for 7 minutes. They come over, they're like, that's $450. I'm like,
Yep.
it looked like you pulled out a piece this big
Yep.
and put it in another piece. He's like, yeah, it's a good thing I had one in the van.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay. I'm like, but looking at that, I didn't know with
Were you going to be able to fix it yourself?
No, I actually paid.
That's to my point all the time.
I paid an extra $120 because it was an emergency. I'm like, I need AC today. It's 95 outside.
Yep.
So that's like my thing to people all the time. Like, one thing I hate about the marketing world is the marketing world has always been dictated on hours worked.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so you're telling us, like, so when we first partnered with the account, we put the amount of hours that go in front side of account, it's a loss.
Oh, yeah.
But you scale past the 120 days, that's when we break into a profitability state. Mm-hmm. But it's because we become more efficient as we progress.
Yeah.
We become more comfortable with the account, know what the account's looking for, things like that. The account becomes easier as it moves forward.
Yeah.
But it's that relationship, just like communication with you and your wife is way easier now than it was with the day you met.
Yeah.
To where it's like the same thing happens, and I'm like, why do marketing companies chain themselves to a ground on an hourly pay? And I think it's just easier for them to run accounting books.
Yeah.
You spend an hour here, this is what we charge, this is how it goes. Like,
Yeah.
So I've never been someone like, if you can get the job done in an hour and it takes me 8, why should it be 2 different prices?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like how we do our plumbing is we're flat rate.
Yep.
Right. And so the price to put in a water heater is the same price to put in a water heater in your house, your neighbor's house down the street. And regardless of the skill level or efficiency of our plumber,
Yep.
you know, and time and material was the old way to do it. And we still get people all the time saying, like, what do you charge per hour? And we don't. Like, that's not fair to you. Because if I have slow Larry on the job, slow Larry is going to make your bill 3 times as high as it should be because he took 3 times as long. And if I have my most senior guy on the job, your bill's going to be a fraction of what it could be. But my most senior guy I'm paying a lot for.
Yep.
And so it's just inverse. And so we do flat rate, just like you go to Jiffy Lube and, you know, do you want the $59, $79, or $99 oil change? Like, we do the same thing.
Yeah.
So
I think that kind of just like overall just movement of money. I like more of the guarantee. And it's
Yeah.
like we don't nickel and dime accounts on like, oh, well, we spent. I remember being on the other side of the table and the graphics on the bottom of an automotive photo with like the dealer logo and everything. I was like, I want like 3 custom ones. And we were in a morning meeting or something. My dad said, he's like, we need 3 different custom ones, one for our lifted trucks, one for our SUVs, one for our cars. I'm like, so just my dad would sit there and all the things he wanted to handle every week. It came down the line. We all got it handled.
yeah,
So I call over this marketing company that we're paying $40,000 a month to. And I was like, hey, I need these 3 different things. All right, great. We'll have them over to you within a week.
Yep.
All right. Next Monday, I go in. They send them over. I add them to everything. We go to the bill, and it's $44,500. My dad comes in my office. He's like, how the hell you spend an extra $4,500 this month, blah, blah, blah. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I'm like sitting there going back through my emails and stuff. I'm like, I don't know what I asked. I'm
Yeah.
like, and I called them. I was like, hey, there was extra $4,500 on our bill this month. Like, oh, yeah, those graphics you guys wanted, those are $1,500 a piece.
yeah,
That was the day I downloaded Adobe
Yeah.
to figure out how to make them myself.
right.
And
Right.
within 2 hours, I figured like that was simple shit.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was picking up video editing overnight.
Yeah.
Like
We run into that a lot of times in our industry, which is easy because we're flat rate, so we just take care of it. But like my wife had a little incident with her car a couple of years ago, and took it to the shop, and they fixed it, but the inner wheel well liner, they didn't like pin it all the way in, and so it fell out and was rubbing on the tire and like burned a hole in the liner because the tire was rubbing on it. So I take it back to the shop like 3 or 4 weeks later, and I'm like, hey, there's a hole in this liner. You guys must have not pinned it in there properly. And like the damage to her car, like I had paid the shop like $6,000 to fix her car, and the liner's like $60. And they're like, nope, that wasn't us. This car was perfect when it left here and everything else. I'm like, no, it's not. Like it was you guys, you know. And then they tried saying, well, she's been involved in another collision. It was a Ford Fusion, and Ford Fusions sit really low to the ground, and they rub on every parking stop out there. and this shop was like digging their heels in, and so I tell the shop, like, I'm going to bring the car up there. Like, we've got to, like, this is just, it's a matter of principle at this point.
The $60 is irrelevant here.
Right, right. You got a $6,000 customer and you're squabbling over $60, right? So they bring out the insurance adjuster too. And it's kind of like a 2-on-1 thing. Well, luckily the insurance adjuster drove a Ford Fusion. And so we pull my wife's car in and they put it up on the rack, and they're like, yeah, see all these scratches underneath, like on the bottom of the bumper? That it's been in another collision. And I'm like, oh, it's funny you say that. Like, I noticed you drove a Ford Fusion, and I saw that as I was walking in, and you've got scratches underneath your bumper. In fact, your bumper's sitting on a parking block right now. Like if you're saying those scratches are from a collision, like you're actively in a collision at this moment. And they were like, all right, we'll get it fixed. And I'm like, next time, don't take a $6,000 customer and squabble over $60. Like, that's just silly.
which
You need some good shops. We got a few good shops.
Yeah, yeah.
the wild thing is to me, I know like probably a lot of business owners probably say it sounds stupid, but like I've never really like chased the financials of the business.
Yeah.
Like that's not really like why I do what I do. Like
That's what I got him for.
that he is.
I will have gray hair.
So
before
the
you.
funny thing is like 2022 is when he took over, or beginning of 23 is when he took over all the finances. Because at the end of the year, I'm talking to my CPA. He's like, "Did you have $120,000 worth of invoices that weren't paid?" I was like, "Yeah, man. Like, I was trying to help some guys out, like trying to do some different. Like, I just always like wanted to believe the good in people. I'm like, they'll get me.
Yeah.
They're only 120 days late. Like they're cool.
Yeah, that was not the case.
Yeah.
So I gave it to Dre, and then this dude, he's like, dude, I sent their invoice like 30 minutes ago. I'm like, dude, give him a fucking break, dude. I'm like,
Okay, it's not 30 minutes. But no, I'll sit there and it's like, I always want to make sure, because I have had some where it's like, I send it and it'll go straight to your junk.
Yeah.
Like, that happens all the time.
Yep.
And the thing is, like, I just want to make sure you're getting it. And the thing is, like, we both know we're on the same page.
no, you do a great job. I mean, we don't worry about not getting our money now, but it was like I was terrible at that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I've always looked at, like, when I was even in the car space, after I didn't really care about selling the car the first time. I wanted to do such a good job after you bought the car.
Yep.
That like I call people the next day, I call them 7 days later,
Yep.
30 days later, and I'm like, they call like a week later. He's like, man, my battery's messed up. I'm like, pull in the service drive, I'll cover it. We'll get a new battery put in.
Yep.
Like, you just bought a $40,000 truck. I'm
Right.
like, I can't tell if you can buy a brand new vehicle. Like, people buy brand new vehicles, the batteries cell will die in it
Yep.
in a month.
Yep.
So I'm like, I can't foresee that, but I want you to be happy with your vehicle. For my hard cost on a battery, maybe $150. Like, pull it into service, we'll throw a new one in, and they'd be like, I'm just not used to somebody doing that for me.
Yeah.
And then like first oil change, I'd always cover it. They'd come in. If I did all those things right, that's when I get to ask for a referral.
Yeah.
But there's so many like sales guys that, I mean, sat next to me selling and everything, that like they would sell a car, call a person 3 days later, and not even ask them how they enjoy their car. They're like, you know anybody else wants to buy a car?
Yeah.
I'm like,
What's in it for me?
dude, you think there's any shot
Yeah.
of you getting a referral?
We had our top salesperson we had to let go. Just because it's like, we knew for a fact this dude could close anything.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he will never get a referral.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then we run the floor. Someone calls like, hey, I got X, Y, and Z. I'm like, what? I'm going through your paperwork right here. I'm looking at the WIO, and they're like, no, like this is what they said, and I go out. I'm like, dude, did you say this? He's like, well, they bought. I'm like, that's not the point.
You can't promise shit that you didn't get approval for.
Yeah,
Like,
we've run into that too in our industry. We're big on Google reviews, and so we'll find guys that aren't very good at getting Google reviews, and you kind of clue in on that because it's like why are you getting so few and everybody else isn't? It's probably a lack of service to the customer.
Did you fill out the survey 2 days ago?
Today actually is when the
It
email
was this morning.
This morning.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
came in this morning. Yeah.
Yeah, so we just started implementing that.
You were actually the first
one.
person to fill
yeah?
that out.
first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I'm big on that. If I get
Yeah.
because we're like huge on Google reviews, and so like I know how important they are to customers.
So ours actually isn't.
Yeah, yours isn't Google.
Ours isn't external at all.
Ours is
Yeah.
an internal.
It's a full
for our
internal.
team.
But
Yeah.
it was like, my thing too is as we've expanded at a really rapid rate, I've had like, I'll be the first to
feedback.
say like we've dropped the ball on accounts and we've missed the mark on things, but it's just at a rapid growth rate
Yep.
that it's from a leadership side, it's down into account side, it's to content side, all the way around.
Yeah.
And we sat there, I don't know what, 3 weeks ago, and we're like, we need to have some sort of survey system in place that we can know what I always look at as partnership. I hate the word client. Like,
Yeah.
but it's like that partnership I look at from the very beginning is like, what is that person's experience from onboarding?
Yep.
Like when they leave, like I want legitimate feedback of how we make that better.
Right.
After we go do content, I will legitimately want to know how we can make that better.
Yep.
Like when we sold cars, like once I made it to management level, I spoke with every customer when they left. When I went out, I never asked for a 5-star review.
Yep.
I always went out, I handed them a card, and I said, can you please give us a honest review?
Yep.
We're a family-run and operated dealership, and at the end of the day, we want to better serve clients in the automotive space.
Yep.
So I want your honest review. And it's wild how many times I would get a 5-star review, and they would send me a text separate with like, you could do this, this, and this, and this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, that's the feedback I've always wanted. It's the same thing. We have a leadership group for a reason same thing all the way through the company is like, how do people progress forward?
Yeah. We do something
yeah.
kind of similar to that. So like on our invoices, we're coming up on 5 years in business and we're coming up on 1,200 Google reviews. And
Congrats on that.
That's
by the way.
impressive in
Yeah.
alone.
yeah, so it's
impressive.
about like 200, 220 a year, something like that on average. And so what we do is like we collect at time of service. And so our sales process is the guy will collect the money and email the invoice, and then while they're standing there in the kitchen or wherever, they'll tell them, hey, in that invoice in the message body of the email, there's a little link that asks for a Google review. I'd really appreciate it if you do that and all this stuff. And the way that we do it on our invoice is the first line says, thanks for choosing Smedley Plumbing. If you feel you receive 5-star service, please click here and let us know. And please click here's a hyperlink to our Google page. Not a review gate, not a review filter.
Yeah.
You give somebody one-click access to your Google reviews, you're kind of risking it, right? So we got to do good service. The next paragraph down says if you have any issues with your service at all, please email us here, and they'll send an email. And so when you're and then I think it says something like we greatly value your feedback. So you're asking, like, if you had 5 stars, click here. If you had anything else, let me know, and we want to make it right. And so you get more of that negative feedback, but every time that email comes in, your inclination is to be like, another, like, can't please everybody kind of thing. But then it's like, hold on, this is a non-5-star review that never happened.
Yep.
And this is my opportunity to go make it right. And so usually we'll circle back in, we'll make it right. If we underserve them in any way, we'll fix that. If we overcharged them, we'll fix that. Like, whatever the case may be, we fix it. And then, a lot of times a 5-star review ends up coming soon after that.
Yeah. And
It's pretty crazy on how many times people will just assume the second they get feedback that's not positive, that's somebody else's fault.
yeah, well, that's what it does for your team too, right? Like giving the opportunity for our companies that we partner with to give us feedback gives us an even better tool and leverage point to go give constructive criticism to our teams.
Yeah.
So that it's not coming directly from us. Hey, this is feedback we received from a client on a recent shoot. Here's some things we think you can improve on. not here's some things I think you're doing wrong.
Right.
Or here's some things that I recognize that you can improve on.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes it away from I and puts it on the we.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing that the way that we've moved our leadership team forward at a very rapid rate is I sit down, I meet with the account managers, I meet with the content guys, and I audit the leadership team from the people that are directly under them.
Yeah.
To where it's like most time when I have a sit down meeting with everyone else in the company, it's about the leadership side.
Right.
But it's getting direct feedback on how our leadership team becomes better.
Yep.
Because ultimately, like in the future, they're going to be teaching the next level down how to become leaders.
Yeah.
To where it's weird that it's like this huge cycle of like internal auditing.
Yep.
But I've also we've worked on a lot of just making it that it's a constructive criticism. It's an opportunity spot, that it's not a personal attack.
It's not personal, right?
Like, I don't get up in the morning, I'm like, you know what, today's a good day, I'm going to go fuck with Logan.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to really get him fired up at work today.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
Wednesdays sound good for that.
yeah. But it's just like,
Middle of the week, get them.
but ultimately,
Everybody has their own day.
but like, I had a client come in today, and like, he pitched me everything what his problem was. I'm like, you're 100% right.
Yep.
I go, I dropped the ball on that. I should have done X, Y, and Z. I was like, and he like kind of looked at me.
Yeah.
He's like, I thought I was going to get something way different. I was like, no, you're right.
You're spot on.
I go, we've scaled really fast. I go, there's a lot of people that scale quick, and then they want to try to say that they're perfect the whole way.
Yeah.
I go, if I can tell you one thing, we have failed on a lot of things.
Yep.
But we've figured out a lot of things that we need to fix.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a vendor relationship with our plumbing company where he and I are in a great relationship, and he asks for that kind of feedback, and he's like, give it to me directly. Don't do the survey stuff or anything else. Like, he goes, I know you well enough that I want your feedback from you. And anytime, and I've recommended him to some other friends of mine in the trade wins thing that we do. And he's growing rapidly. And so, yeah, as you're growing rapidly, balls get dropped and everything else. And so I'll shoot him a message. And I'll be like, hey, Aaron said he's running into this. You may check on that or whatever. And it's always met with like, dude, thank you. I'm glad that I've got that kind of relationship where it's not personal. You just tell me where we're dropping the ball, and I can get in there and fix it. Because without that communication, I don't know. And then we piss off more clients.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, sometimes you don't realize what you don't know or realize. Just like on the customer service thing, when you're talking about the battery in a car at the dealership, like most customers just assume if they have something like that go wrong that the dealership's not going to do anything about that.
Yeah.
My dad recently bought a new RV, and the battery situation happened with him. Brand new RV, it was a 24 leftover unit, so it'd sit out there for a while, so I suspect the battery went bad. And he's like, yeah, I shouldn't have bought the thing, like the dealership, whatever. I'm like, did you call the salesperson?
Yeah.
Like, have you talked to anybody from the dealership? And he's like, no, you're right. I'm like, well, that's what Dane says all the time. It's like you got to give people a chance to make it right.
Yeah.
It's just like at work, like as you scale and you get in positions that you were used to be managed by, it's like you get frustrated at your manager or your boss or this or that about something that, you think they're doing or whatever, but you don't have the full picture.
Yep.
And it's like you get in that position, and I'm sure it happened with you, from your positions to owning a company. It's like, damn, I didn't realize the full picture here, and I was mad at someone about something that I didn't even know about.
Right.
And it's just people too often just assume that they have all the information when they don't.
Yeah. Yeah, customers are kind of interesting too, because like I'm going to say 99% of customers are easy to make happy. Mm-hmm. But there's 1% where it just seems like there's nothing you could do to make them happy.
I think if you did everything for free, it'd still be wrong.
Right, right. Yep. We have a customer. We have a 1-star review from this customer where we went out and put in a water softener for her, and we have a 1-year labor warranty on it. The softener has like a 3-year warranty on it. She calls back like a year and a half, 2 years later, and the softener broke and it was leaking. And so we go out there. We don't charge her anything, even though we're outside of warranty. Don't charge her anything. And we call the vendor, the manufacturer of the softener. We get her a free softener coming direct shipped to her. And I even told her, like, I'll put it in for free. Because once you, kind of geeky on the plumbing world, but once you've done all the work to install a softener, replacing one with a like-for-like unit takes like 20 minutes. And so it's like, yeah, we'll come out and swap it out for free. Well, when her softener got delivered, it got shipped to her house, and it's big. It got shipped to her house, and it was raining that day, and it sat outside in the rain, and she was furious that it sat outside in the rain. And nothing's hurt on it. It's not going to hurt it, but she gave us a 1-star review, and it's like, hold on, we came out for free, out of warranty, got you a new softener for free, out of our warranty, like their warranty. I offered to put it in for free, and like, I don't know what more we could do here. You know?
I actually at one point in the car business thought about writing like a short little like storybook.
Yeah.
That like, because a lot of times I thought like, I would literally just start asking people if I was being punked.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of, it became my move.
Yeah.
Like I had
Kind of let them know they're stepping over the line.
Well, it's just like the things like I remember some dude comes in and he's fired up to the nines that his plastic piece on the back of an F-150, there's 2 bumper pieces make up the back bumper, and it has the plastic piece across top. And when he bought the car, we would always show people like the work that we did, and we had replaced one of the sides. Well, they didn't level it right, so he stepped on it and cracked it. It was cold out. Guy comes in, he's furious. I was like, dude, no problem. I'll order another one. I'll get it put on.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I want to talk to the owner.
I can promise you,
like,
you don't want to.
I was like, I'm telling you, like, my dad is hot. Like when he gets heated up, like you don't want to mess with him.
Yeah.
And he is way bigger than myself, and the dude's just like he would get mistaken in airports as like a WWE wrestler. This dude's like eats chicken and rice 24/7, just jacked to the nines.
At this point, he's about 260, around 68% body fat, just shredded.
So,
Jeez.
and this
Not
guy's
a
like,
dude you really want to go on the
this
bad
guy's
side
like,
of.
no, I want to. I have to talk to the owner. I'm like, dude, I can handle everything. I told you I'll get the part. I'm not charging you anything to put it on. I was like, let me order it. I'll just give you a call when it comes in. Run up here. It'll take 10 minutes. We'll get it put on.
Yeah.
I was like, what more are you looking for? He goes, I want to talk to the owner. I was like, whatever, dude. I walk back. My dad comes out. He's in a cutoff about to head to the gym. He goes, can I help you? And this guy's been an asshole to me.
Yeah.
Guy's like, I don't got no problem. I was like, no, you had a serious problem, dude. I was like, guy's like,
You
no,
want to talk
dude.
to the owner?
Yeah,
Here's the owner.
your mood changed awfully quick.
Then my dad ends up walking away. He's like, where did you find that guy? And it was just like all this stuff. Like I had a guy come up this guy still has his truck. We put all these aftermarket parts on. And he got rock chips on the bottom of a running board. On
Bottom
truck.
of it. Yeah.
The bottom of it.
Go figure.
He comes up a year and a half later.
Yeah.
He's
Paint's
like,
crappy.
he comes in just raising hell. And this dude owns a business in town.
Yeah.
Comes up and I'm like, dude, what do you got going on? He's like, you need to come see this. Goes out and the dude gets on the ground, just crawls underneath his truck. I'm like, look out. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He's like, you need to get under here and see this. I'm like, you take a picture, whatever it is, and show it to me, bud.
I have a dress shirt on today.
Pulls it out. He's like, show me. He's like, dude, there's rock chips on the bottom of this running board.
Yeah.
I was like,
Well, yeah.
what's your point?
Running board.
I go, you have a lifted truck with off-road tires on it.
I live in Kearney. Half the roads are gravel.
Yeah. And it was just like, and he goes, you guys are going to replace these, right?
No.
I go, no, dude.
No.
I was like, he goes, well, the manufacturer will replace them. I was like, we can go see.
Yeah.
I go pull it up. I was
Yeah.
like,
Call them. Go for it.
I go in. I was like, oh, they got 12-month warranty. I was like, I think you're out of luck, dude.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, this is really how you're going to do business.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it was wild. I just had this shit like daily. Like I had 2 people crash cars in town. They both found out they had gap insurance, so I thought we would cover the cars.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not what gap insurance.
That's not how that works.
I was just like,
Dan tells me that. I'm like, maybe I need to do a better job explaining the gap.
Yeah.
but it was just like,
I thought I was pretty crystal clear.
it was just day in and day out, and it was like, it's wild. Like I tell people, like my life now is not. I deal with a lot bigger problems when they do arise. But at least I would like rather take on a real problem, and then instead of taking on a problem that I'm just like, I feel like I'm being messed with.
When you get a call at 7:30 in the morning when you're working at the dealership, that sets your tempo to the day usually.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there, you're like,
So we got a flat tire. They bought a car for me a year and a half ago, and this is what I'm dealing with at 7:30.
yeah, you're like, it's like, man, I really don't want to take this. Now it's like you get a call at 7:30. They're like, hey, I know we had a content shoot today. Like, I just want to make sure, like, I was going over the content plan last night. Like, I was talking to my wife about it. Like, what about X, Y, and Z? Do you guys think we can implement this? It's like much different call.
Yeah.
But then it's like you're sitting there. It's like the ball's moving forward for them as a company.
Right.
Which is so cool because it's like the companies we're partnered with, they see the movement for their company as well.
Yep.
And it's like we get to be a part of that journey for them.
Yeah.
And with them. And it's like that. It's like you sit there. It's like at 7:30 in the morning. You're like, it's gonna be a killer day. It's
gonna
like
be a good day.
Someone can't really knock you off the pedestal. It's like they're pumped, we're pumped. It's like everything's going correct, and it's like you have your hiccup at noon.
Yep.
You're like,
Yep.
You can just move past it. 7:30, you're just like, oh. And then you go in the office. You're like, dude, don't kick me down while I'm down already.
That's the interesting part with the entrepreneurial journey is like you literally have no clue what's going to happen each day, especially when you're managing teams of people. It's like, and they could.
So how many people do you have?
Right now, I think we've got like 7, so we're still fairly small. But
So I will say that like where a lot of things where I lived in kind of a weird state was at 12 like 15.
Mm-hmm.
At 12 to 15, I would hover up and then I'd hover right back down.
Yep.
And have you read the book Traction?
Yeah.
So like it was fun when I read Traction. They talk about your core values, your leadership side, everything. I've read Traction.
Yeah, I was gonna say which time when you read Traction.
Yeah.
I've read Traction like 4 times.
Yeah.
And I read like right when I started my company. I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to do all these things.
Yeah.
I read it again and we're like 7 in the basement, like about to come out of the basement. I'm like, I'm going to do all these things. And then I think I started reading it a 3rd time, didn't get that far through it. I was like, I already know what's in here. 4th time, January of last year, I'm sitting on the beach for my wedding. My wife and I are down there doing our food tasting and everything. There's nothing I enjoy more than sitting on a beach reading.
Yeah.
I love just reading business books, and it's like the most clear
Yep.
thought process I can like come up with.
Yep.
I'm sitting there, I'm reading this, and I'm like, I don't have a leadership side, I don't have core values, I don't have any of these things I told myself I was going to do. And at that point, we we're like 12 employees.
Yeah.
Now we're at 40 plus, but I put a leadership side in. I was like, I pretty much text the whole basement group as I'm sitting on the beach. I'm like, hey, this is the leadership group chat now.
Yep.
This is the leadership of the company. And I was like, I have no earthly idea who does what yet, but we're going to piece that together. I was like, we need to figure out what our core values are. Everyone put together 10 things that they think make up who that person is of MMG, the people we ride or die with. So then I'm like, we're going to narrow it down to 7.
Yep.
And the book, it talks about there's some people that like you can be like 3 to 7 or 8. And
Yep.
it was just like going through that it was cool too. Like they have like Gumby that they talk about in there, like being flexible. And like we have 300 as one of them, is like we rise as one, we fall as one. No one person stands higher than anyone else.
Yep.
And it was just like going through that to figure out what scale looked like was I would say probably one of the most like monumental movements of the company, because for 3 years, the only thing that held MMG back was actually me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like through and through.
Yeah. It's crazy how common we are our own bottleneck.
Yeah.
And that's so like as we were talking about earlier before the cameras came on, so my wife used to answer all of our phones. And when she took the reins away from me and fired me from scheduling calls, it was like I can't even be mad at that. Like, this is good. Like, I shouldn't be the bottleneck in scheduling calls.
Did it hurt a little bit though?
No, it's liberating. It's like,
It's pretty cool, actually. Like,
Yeah.
as you get fired from jobs, like, if you're scaling a business and you're getting fired from things, like, internally in your company, you're going the right way.
Yeah, and it was like, now it's like kind of cool. Somebody will text me and be like, hey, can you get me on the schedule for this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm actually not allowed to schedule calls. The ladies fired me from that, so you're going to have to call the main number and go through that way. And they'll be like, all right, cool. And we like to think we're more important than we are. And so, you're like, well, I got to schedule the call. This is my buddy, or this is my friend, or this is a high-profile person. And it's like, hold on. If our systems really are that good, that person should be able to go through the right channels and get the amazing service that you're going to try to give them.
So I think that's one thing we're working on, Dane, still, is he does like to go rogue.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like once in a while, like yesterday, we were out test driving a vehicle. He was talking to a potential partner, everything, we're going through it, gets done. He's like, hey, we need to get X, Y, and Z built out. When we get back, I need have you take care of this. I'm like, we put a process in place. Follow the process. He's like, I see him going, he starts voice texting over. I'm like, you know what, we're making steps.
Yeah.
We're making steps.
Yeah. But she still has to rein me in a lot. She's like, this is my job. Go away.
So some of our biggest high profile clients are clients that we've had for a long time that I became such good friends with these people that it's like they've been with us through the ebb and flows of the ups and downs of MMG as it's went, and they've just like always been there.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm like talking to one of them, and he's actually an investor in MMG now also, but I talk to this guy 2-3 times a week. Like if I ever think I have anything as a problem, I call him, and his problems are 20x the size of mine, and
Right.
100x. So I'm like, well, he's not that bad. I was like,
Yeah.
And so
Not
I'm
that big of an issue.
I'm talking to him one day. We're talking about content. We're talking about all this stuff, and he's like, so-and-so stuff's looking really good. I was like, yeah, you know what? I go, it looks like that because, one, I'm not involved.
Yeah.
And 2, you're not involved.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're right. He goes, we're a real problem in this.
Yeah.
I was like, who do you want to put in charge of this? He like gives me one of his guys.
At this point, we were on like 3 to 6 month content shoots.
Yeah.
We wanted to do very frequently. And then Dane was laying out the content, and then he has a very busy schedule, and Dane has a very busy schedule. So then they're like, when can we line up to make this work? And this was Dane's last deal where it's like, we had to force a camera out of his hand. Dane's like, this is mine. Like, every account we've put into the process, Dane's like, no, this one's mine.
This one's still my baby.
And Dan would go out, and then I'm like, dude. And then everyone's like, hey, like, we need content. Dane's like, yeah, we'll get to it. Like, 3 months later, we're like, okay, dude, seriously? Like, it's a problem.
Yeah.
But now they have since Dane alleviated it off his plate. This individual is also alleviated his plate. Now we have like content shoots lined up already for the next 4 months.
Well, both of our companies have scaled like right next to each other at a very quick pace.
Yeah.
So when we started with him, like it was a big expense to him.
Yep.
And it was a big account to us. Like he and I were both in the driver's seat that had our hands on everything.
Yep.
So we've just kind of never taken our hands off of it.
Yeah.
So we've just kind of scaled like parallel to each other, and then we both got into a state where just nothing was really getting done.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work.
Well, and it's wild how so many things like dissolve into just a habit. And like poor performance like dissolves into a habit too, and you just have this habit of performing poorly. When we let's see, we were in business for a year and a half. Was it a year and a half? I feel like it was a year and a half. And maybe not quite a year and a half, maybe just over a year. And I'm like, we need more content than I physically have time to do. And so I hired a videographer, like on-staff videographer, full-time benefits, everything. And we started a YouTube channel. We started a podcast. We started putting out short-form videos on social media and everything. And like I kind of looked at that like it was part of my marketing budget, like having that guy on staff. And we put out a lot of very intentional videos that helped our company grow. But even that like became kind of a habitual, poor performing thing. I got so busy that I wasn't super available for content shoots. He was more of a great guy, but he wasn't as efficient as like you guys are with, you know, the scripting and the planning. And I mean, I think the first time you guys came out, we shot like 21 videos in 3 hours.
So the crazy thing is,
it's like 9 minutes of video.
I'm going to say that I'm not going to say it was always that way.
Yeah.
It used to be Ricky and I were content crew, and we would be out there, and we'd show up, and we're like, what are your plans for today? Like,
Yeah.
So we were just off the cuff.
We have
like,
as much time available as you need to get this
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But as we've progressed and we start taking on a bunch of accounts, like one, the marketing side was working on actual strategy of where we're going with stuff.
Right.
What's performing, what's not. Ad side, what they're wanting to do after. They're talking with clients of like, okay, like if we just randomly show up, like, what do you guys want to run?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, I remember Ricky and I going out, I'm like, dude, what were we doing? I'm like, how did people pay us for this shit?
Right.
We did plug in some videographers where it's like, hey, this kind of how it is. They go out and they're like, yeah, they didn't know what we want to talk about. I'm like, what'd you shoot that? We shot a video. I'm like, what? And then then marketing's like, oh no. So then it's like, that's why we had to figure out a solution to the problem where it's like, Dane and Ricky were very good at like just sitting there. It's like, hey, I researched your industry. I know like these are like 10 pain points we need to hit. Let's hit these. Mm-hmm. And then it's like we had some people. It's like they are creative individuals.
Yeah.
The thing is like they know nothing about your industry. And then they're like, you don't know what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know the industry. Like
That's where we ended up is like, I was kind of leaning on my videographer guy to be the creative guy and come up with these ideas and then just pin me down and let's shoot it all. And instead, he would like pin me down and he'd be like, all right, what do you want to shoot today? And I'm like, I thought you were doing that, you know? And it wasn't like I never clearly communicated that that's what I wanted from him, nor was he in the industry enough to understand a lot of that stuff. And so it just kind of quit working.
And the crazy thing is we have a lot of clientele that come our way that have worked on trying to piece some sort of like in-house marketing plan together.
Yep.
And I was golfing with a guy on Monday that he's tried to piece together this in-house marketing plan. And I'm like, he's telling me this marketing guy that he's like, I paid up for this marketing guy and this is what it's cost me a year. I was like, we can 10X what you're doing with the same budget.
Yeah.
And he's like, for real?
Just with efficiency.
I'm like, well, one, the crazy thing about marketing, I think over a lot of different pieces of business, there's few people that can run both sides of their brain, like back and forth. And I think that was one thing that we really I kind of had a pulse on when I started it, is I'm very much the creative type.
Yep.
I love doing video work. I love doing content, which no one ever really expected. But going through school, I was always really good at art, like things like that. I also very much understand business. I can sit there and deep dive into spreadsheets and eat it alive for half the day.
Yeah.
So I can bounce back and forth, which there's ad agencies and there's media groups. Most of the time, they're not all in one house.
Right. Right.
So if you go into our headquarters, half the building is one side of the brain.
Yeah.
Other half of the building is the other side of the brain.
Yeah.
And people hire this videographer that's supposed to be this like marketing person that's going to sit there and go over analytics of their ads and go over these spreadsheets and everything. And that person's like, puts them to the moon.
Yeah.
And then it's like, or vice versa, they hire this person that's a spreadsheet kind of person.
Yep.
That Dalton and Logan, these dudes are animals when it comes to the marketing side. Logan can out spreadsheet me in a day, what it'd probably take me 365 days
Yeah.
in a year to do.
Yeah.
But you put him up against a videographer, like, dude's not a videographer. Like,
Yeah.
we've sat here before, he's like, give me a shot. And I'm like, dude, you have your talents. I'm like, that's not
That
one of
ain't
them.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
We did used to shoot some content.
we would shoot some content. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But it's just like having all that in one spot.
Yeah.
Where you have specialists in every area. I just think it yields a lot better outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we were at. Like, so my videographer, like, his dream is to film movies for Hollywood. And it's great when you're just getting started. But like, as you start to grow and develop and everything else, it's like, that's still his dream, is to shoot movies for Hollywood. And ultimately, like, the biggest kind of hiccup we ran into was in a movie for Hollywood. You buy the ticket, you've committed 2 to 3 hours to go to the theater and do the thing. Even if the movie sucks, you're still going to sit there for the whole thing, right? Well, with, as you guys know, with advertising content, you got like 3 to 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's quick.
And so, like, he would want to shoot these longer videos, and he was like, by about 15 minutes in, they're going to really kind of understand where we're going with this. And it's like, dude, that may be great in the Hollywood world. That's not working here. Like,
They did not buy this ticket.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
It's literally a thumb flick away from being.
Which we've had business owners come into our office and like, yeah, I spent $15,000 on this ad, and they pull it up. I'm like, it's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to watch this. I'm like, and they like,
And it's in a meeting, and you're like,
there's,
how do you say, like, I don't want to watch the video, you just paid $15,000?
And then they're like,
it's like, I really
and
don't
like,
think I'll get benefit.
it just didn't really yield me the return that I thought I was going to. And they like play it, and I'm like, 2 minutes in, I'm like, you lost me in the first 5. I'm like,
for all I know, you guys were saying that about mine, because we have like those 4 TV commercials that I was showing in our onboarding thing, and they're pretty slow to develop, but you kind of, those commercials were built for OTT, and so it's like, well, they have to watch it, they can't skip it. And so like we do
You're
have
mine now.
yeah, like we do have a little bit of time with these, and so we let them kind of marinate a little bit, but they're still probably too slow.
Yeah,
and
because
there's no call to action in them, so
there's some of them that I've like watched them like
They're really well put together.
They're really well put
not
together.
Yeah.
But it's a
They're not gonna
branding
do
thing only. Like, nobody's gonna call you because, like, I think we still have our TV commercials as like a call source where we ask people how they heard about us. I think in the history of our company, only 2 people have ever called from our TV commercials, and that was to tell us that they're disgusting.
nice.
It's like, well,
So-
we're
so
plumbers.
You did get a call.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, and like I sit in meetings, and I'm like, I'm not making this up. I'm like, just go do your own homework on what TV, radio, traditional style marketing is doing.
Yeah.
I go, it's falling at a 9% plus rate each year.
Yeah.
I go, there's a reason radio stations are going bankrupt all
Yep.
over the place. I go, they're not going bankrupt because it's going so well.
Yeah.
But that's also in the marketing world. I think and I talk about this till I'm blue in the face. The whole space has shifted in the last 5 to 10 years, but traditional style marketing was always a take of attention.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have an option like, oh, we got him for 30 seconds. We can nurse it and do whatever we want.
Yeah.
But you look at radio, you look at TV, you look at so many of those things. Like if we're watching TV out here, commercial comes on, we're like, oh yeah, this one.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
We've been waiting for this. Like, no, it's you go get a drink, you go to the bathroom, you go do all the other things. Driving down the road, like I haven't listened to a commercial with music
Yeah.
since I was 18 years old. So I've had 12 years of ad-free
Spotify's,
music. Yeah.
Pandora's, all the, yeah.
He still listens to ads on Pandora, so if you want to try to catch Dre, feel free.
They
But
ain't catching me for $6.99 a month, dude.
but it's like that has always been something that they just take the attention.
Yeah.
Social and the digital realm of marketing is something that it's the first, and I think that's why so many marketing agencies struggle with it
Yeah.
and they avoid it, is because you have to figure out how to earn it.
Yeah.
Now
You
somebody's
have
scrolling
the
in.
first half second, you have the first 3 seconds, and then if you can capture it for both those, you got a pretty long duration. But it's like you have a pre-hook, a hook, and then the video.
Yeah.
Which you look at it that way, it's like everyone's like, no, it's about the hook. I'm like, you can have a good hook, but it's like someone still has to get 3 seconds in to see the hook. So it's like
Yeah.
you have to have a good pre-hook to like I watched someone where they're opening something right in front of the camera and pull right back, and you're just like you stop, but you're just like, what?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like it has nothing to do with the video, but it's just someone going into it and then they're talking about something finance wise. I'm like,
Exactly to that point. There's visual and there's audible people to where
Yeah.
like you have to have both sides of that lined up to be correct. And that's the crazy thing about social media is that you have the organic side of it to where obviously you have to earn it because nobody has to watch your stuff.
Yep.
But on social, it's the same thing with ads. You scroll right by an ad. You don't have to watch it.
Yeah.
Ad pops up on your story. You click through it.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch it. You have to earn people's attention on ads, and that's where a lot of creative and ad agencies have failed, is that they stick with this like original salesy ad pitch.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's focus on what people actually want to see, even in ads. Let's do, funny, entertaining, engaging type ads, even if we're not promoting a special.
Yeah.
Who cares about driving your special? If we're going to pay for ad dollars, we want people to watch it. We need to put something out there that they're going to watch.
Yeah. Social's almost kind of like the Super Bowl commercials, but for everything.
Exactly.
It's like you've got to, you want people talking about your ad outside of when they just saw it.
Yeah.
like was it Tubi? Is that the TV deal where it's
Yeah.
like you're watching the commercial, it looks like someone's changed the channel. Everyone
Yeah.
starts freaking
Whoa,
out.
no.
What?
Looking for the remote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and was it Coinbase?
Coinbase was really good.
Where it just had the QR code.
QR code
bouncing
bouncing in
across
a
like
circle.
Yeah, I would say that those are the two most commented on commercials in the history of the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But it's like the Super Bowl has always been built around releasing commercials that people wanted to see.
Yep.
To where it's like, I tell somebody, I'm like, if you're going to buy a TV commercial, Super Bowl would be the only one I'd buy.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you better have some deep pockets to be able to have those.
Yep.
But it's like people, and I even think this like the last like 2 years, because a lot of them are being leaked before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They're not as sought after.
Right. Right. Well, plumbing's even harder than that because, like, how often do you call a plumber? Like, most people don't call a plumber, but like every 3 to 5 years. And so your ad has to hit, like, if it's a call to action ad, it has to hit the right person at the, like, when you have a plumbing problem. If you woke up tomorrow morning and your water heater was out, you're not going to be like, well, looks like I got to get a new water heater in the next couple weeks.
So
Like, your window is
I
like,
didn't
and
need
that-
that.
and that's
So
sort of-
anyway.
yeah.
I tell everyone, like, you look at it and it's and we've experienced it in our industry too, that there's somebody that you're sitting there, you're having drinks tonight, and you're like, man, I really need to up my marketing, blah, blah, blah. Like, we've branded for so long that even if they jump on Google and they search, that even if I'm not worried about being number one on Google.
right.
If we're halfway down the page, like, oh, I know those guys.
Yes.
Like, now they have brand recognition on that page.
Yep.
To where it's they they all work. The whole digital footprint works simultaneously together.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people don't realize is so many people are going after call to action all the time on social. Our probably largest ROI of any marketing we do is this podcast and taco reviews on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, I go into an airport, there's people that want to take photos with me, everything, because I'm the taco review guy.
Yeah.
Weird.
I messaged Sydney right after I signed up with you guys, I saw the first taco thing. And I'm like, we could do something very similar to that in plumbing. Like, maybe it's not tacos. Maybe it's like I show up to random businesses and I just like do a checkup of their plumbing.
Rate their bathroom.
Rate your
I
plumbing.
think I don't even think it's
bathroom ratings.
What relevance does
That would be
tacos have to
That would be
anything
so
marketing?
funny.
Oh, right.
I think you make it something that's so off so the reason that we did the taco reviews that kind of the staple to it is like, if you're familiar with Barstool.
Yep.
Dave Portnoy's does his
Yeah,
pizza,
the pizza reviews. Yeah.
So what I thought was like genius about that, like I think he's probably one of the best marketing minds of our generation right now, of what he's done from leveraging social, from building actually people inside of his brand. That there's people that know Barstool and then they'll know 20 people that work for Barstool.
Yeah.
He's done a great job at branding into the company.
Yep.
But he was always very sports heavy. So then he starts doing these taco review or pizza reviews that leverages a whole different audience.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden it's like you take something that's so vastly outside the realm that it's like we've had so many viral taco reviews.
Yeah.
That are all those people our clients? Absolutely not.
No.
But if we go get 200,000 views on a taco review,
Might get a client out of it.
I've had people come in, they're like, yeah, we were referred to you by Tim. I'm like, Tim who? And they like tell me, I was like, never heard of this guy in my life.
Yeah.
And then later on, they're like, he doesn't know you, but he watches your taco reviews.
Yeah.
And he said if we did marketing, we need to use you. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Well, it's social proof, and we haven't even got into the traction that you guys have on YouTube yet or have done on social. But
Right.
like, same thing with you teaching someone how to do anything that your YouTube videos do. It's like, I trust this guy. You
Yeah.
taught me how to do this. Now I know I can't do this, so I'm going to call him.
Yeah, and I still leverage that to this day. You'll have somebody, like Facebook groups are kind of hit and miss for, somebody will say, hey, I'm looking for a plumber. And you never really know, are they looking for like the cheap plumber, or are they just going to the group and they're actually want good quality business and they're just crowdsourcing the info from the group. But like a lot of times I'll link our Facebook videos or our YouTube videos in my reply on those Facebook pages. They'll be like, yeah, my water heater broke and I thought about trying to fix it myself, but I think I'm just going to call a plumber. And maybe they give a little bit more info about how their water heater broke. And I'll say, hey, we can do that at Smedley Plumbing, and I'll tag us. But also, it sounds like you might be wanting to tackle it yourself. And if that's the case, here's a YouTube video where we covered that. And a lot of times that person will end up calling us because the brand authority is there of like, wow, this video's got 400,000 views or whatever. Like, these guys must know what they're talking about, and they're willing to give me the info for free. And if they are DIY, they'll just take the video and go. And if they aren't, they'll be like, hey, if you guys put that much effort into everything else that's not plumbing, just imagine what kind of effort you put into plumbing.
The conversation we've always had is like one of the biggest problems I saw in the marketing space was I'd have marketing companies come and pitch at me. They're like, you need to be running paid ads. You need to be doing video and all this stuff. I'm like looking at their stuff. I'm like, you don't do any of the things that you're telling me to do.
Yeah.
I was like, so if it works, so 4.5 years, so up until the beginning of this year, we had no sales team.
Yeah.
Everything we acquired was from social ads and referrals.
Yeah.
And we built, I feel right now, like there was times I said we're fastest growing marketing company in Kansas City. I'm like, I don't really know. Like right now, I'd put us up against anybody.
Yeah.
I will say we were the fastest growing marketing company. Now we're about 4x.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's like,
but if you
4x
if you just
plus.
if you look at, there's no one that's even competing.
Yeah.
But it's our movement on social and everything else. The proof is getting bigger and bigger, and it's compounding.
Yeah, and exactly to your point, like there's wants and there's needs, and there's a different way that you market to both. And like, think if your tooth hurts, you need a dentist, and you're going to go to someone that you trust, right? Yeah. Like you're probably, if you have a toothache, you're not going to go to a dentist that you've never seen before, even if you haven't been in a while. And that's the same thing. Like Google is a better place for a need type marketing for plumbing. Like someone needs a plumber, they're going to search on Google, but they're going to trust the people that they've seen on social, they've gotten education from, and they know in the area.
Yeah.
And it's like, it all has to be working together
Yep.
for you to get the opportunities in both realms. You're going to get the opportunities equally from both.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of understanding that you have to do it all.
Yeah. You're hitting on a good point there, like with the dentist. I've always been jealous of people that are in an industry where they're selling something where their customer's not paying for it. So like doctors and dentists and things like that. It's like, man, it's super easy to sell to somebody when insurance is picking up a large part of the tab. Like roofers, for example. I'm not knocking roofers, but it's like the easiest setup. I'm not going to say it's the easiest job. It's the easiest setup ever. They follow hailstorms, so they know exactly where their clients are. The clients are moving all the time because hailstorms are all the time. But they know where their clients are, and I'm selling you your $2,000 deductible. I'm not selling you your $24,000 roof. I'm just trying to get you to trust me with your $2,000. And it's the easiest thing ever.
But to the point on the roofing side, like we have roofers that have never chased a hailstorm.
Yeah.
We have some of the most dominant roofers around that they're like, yeah, that's not our jam. Like,
Yeah.
But they have became very trusted in the right areas.
Yes.
That they're like, our clientele is not going to climb up on the roof. Like, you ain't catching my ass up on this roof.
No.
I'm like 265. I fall off there. That's going
Right.
to hurt. Like,
Right.
not going up there. Like,
Yeah.
But if you're a roofer and you're out here and you're like, hey, let me check out your roof. I'm like, yeah, well,
Yeah.
have at it. Like, you go up there and you're like, hey, you need a new roof. Great. Get it done. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in. Like,
Yeah, get it done.
And I think that sounds great in theory, but we talk to businesses like physical therapists and practices and stuff and dentists and stuff. And working in that insurance world is crazy. The amount of time and battle that they spend trying to get their money.
Yeah.
That's why people are opening cash clinics and stuff like that in the PT world.
Yep.
It's just, it looks sexy, on the outside, but
Which
trying to get your money in the long
I think
term
there's
run in
certain.
that
I
game.
think there's certain industries in health that like are easier to get money. Like a surgeon's always getting their money. Like,
Yeah.
surgeon ain't marketing. They're not like
That
I
surgeon's
have-
not running out of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like PT world. It's like there's also like certain insurance companies cover it, certain ones don't.
Yeah.
Like you need to be able to. There's just like I think that whole world. Like thank God I don't have to deal in that every
Yeah.
day. Like,
Yeah, I don't want
But-
that problem.
but that's the other thing too that we talk about is like all these businesses that we work with are so vastly different, and 99% of the marketing world runs them all the same.
Yeah.
That the way you run your business, 1,000 times different than how we run, or most of the business owners we work with run theirs.
Yeah.
That we have a lot of accounts that are $10,000+ accounts that their only movement is for employment.
Yeah.
We have a lot of big companies that we acquire the business because we sit down with them and we actually talk to them about what their goals are and where they're trying to be. And like, yeah, we don't need any work. Like we've talked to 2 other marketing companies who try to tell us about all this work they're going to get us. And like,
Yeah.
I'm booked out for 3
I need
years.
employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, we have a big excavating company. I mean, he hired, what most companies will work in 5 to 10 years to hire, he hired in 1 month, in the month of December, all off of Meta.
Yeah.
And he got to cherry pick
Yeah.
the best of the best.
Yeah,
'Cause you
I
got
love hiring
hundreds
people
of
off of Meta
applicants.
because you can Facebook stalk them a little bit, and you can make sure that they're going to blend with your culture. You're not taking like I made a Facebook post about this recently. Like if somebody created a blue collar version of Indeed,
I saw that.
oh my gosh, it would go bonkers.
I literally thought about that and I was like, that's such a good idea but the other thing too that I think about is the way that a lot of blue collar guys end up moving, they're not actively looking.
right.
So it's like we go in like automotive dealerships all the time. They're like, well, we'd move more cars, but we need 4 more technicians.
Yeah,
There's not a technician out there that's like, I will say there's a few, but like the majority aren't actively looking for a job today.
yeah,
The good ones.
The good ones.
Right.
yeah,
But you do have a lot of technicians that came in this morning and got in a fight with their service manager.
yeah,
They're sitting out there fuming all day.
yeah.
And then they get on lunch break and they're sitting there and they're eating and they're scrolling Facebook.
Right.
They're scrolling Instagram. They're like, oh, this place down the street's hiring?
Yeah.
Does your service department not have AC?
Yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
Do you want to come in for an interview? They're like,
But it's like, oh,
you know
they
what?
have-
maybe it's worth a chat.
right.
You look at just the different walks of life and you see something like, oh, they got a $2,500 signing bonus to go work over here, $5,000 signing bonus. I was actually just talking with the wife last night about what we need to do X, Y, and Z. Her car just shot a training, and we have to go spend $3,000 on that next week, and I don't know how to pay for it.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you have a guy that's sitting there that's spinning their wheels.
Yep.
10 ways to Tuesday. That could be A-level talent.
Yep.
That you could have walk in your door from that.
Yeah.
And it's like, the crazy thing is we see those scenarios all the time.
Yeah.
It's not like a once in a blue moon thing.
Yep.
You guys sound like you got a problem over there.
That was Dre, not me.
But
My bad.
it's just crazy, like when you kind of see that from employment side.
Yeah.
That marketing's not always just acquisition of work. Like if you figure out acquisition of work, you have to figure out acquisition of employment.
Yeah. 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 You got a fulfillment problem or a sales problem 24/7. And the goal is to like alternate problems. Like get a sales problem.
Yep.
Solve it. Now you have a fulfillment problem. Solve it. Now you have a sales problem, and you just keep leveling up.
Which
That's crazy.
The funny thing was, for the longest time, the reason that we didn't plug in a sales side was, I think it was a complex I had in my head. I was like, I don't know how everybody that is part of MMG,
We didn't have scalability figured out.
Yeah.
not from a staffing side, we didn't really have the processes put in place, but it was like, I mean, I hired my brother first. I hired Dalton. Like we were college roommates, and then like Logan was my brother's best friend, and then we meet Ricky and Lauren at the gym.
Yeah.
I have like my other best friend from high school. Like I was just hiring from my like close group,
Yeah.
and I didn't really know what it looked like outside of that. And then even when the same thing kind of happened in the river market. We get to the crossroads, we still hadn't really like flexed out of that. And once our social really started moving, we get 30, 40 people a week, or 30 to 40 people a month reach out that want to work for us.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So once that started happening, I'm like, all right, I think it's time that we plug in the sales side. Like
Yeah.
we can get all the manpower we need.
That's the value of social. Like I think we did like a 30-day trial of Indeed when we were looking for our first plumber, and we realized real fast, like, this is a joke. And so I just used my social presence, and I don't have a giant I don't have 5,000 followers on Facebook or anything. I think I'm 3,900 or something. But I just used my social presence, and I'm like, hey, who's looking for a plumbing job? Like, we do this thing pretty cool. And I tried making that post through our business page. And Meta clamps that down hardcore because their EEOC stuff is so strict. And it's like, hey, I want to boost a post where we're looking for plumbers. And they're like, well, we feel like this is a job ad, and if it's a job ad,
You have to run special ad categories.
right. Like you can't. Like I was trying to frame it to like men over 18 within 40 miles.
Yep.
And they were like, no, you can't exclude women. You can't exclude people in other states. And I'm like, this is dumb. So I just go to my personal page, make the same post, and it gets 1,000% more traction, you know. And we've never had to put an ad out for plumbers. The same thing.
Yeah.
It's just the social presence helps you get customers and talent.
Which I think that's just where, once again, I think right now we have like Willy Wonka's golden ticket to business growth online if people understand what it is.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. You have so many different like generations of what they're trying to do with it.
Yeah.
Like you have this, I have a lot of old clientele that reaches out and they're like,
I would say that is like a Midwest thing. That's just kind of like, it's in a different era in itself.
I'll say when we started in 2020 and we were doing content and ads and everything under one roof. When I say one roof, it was this roof.
Yeah.
But everyone was like, well, I talked to people, they were like, this is really cutting edge.
Yeah.
I'm like, do your guys' computers work the same as mine?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, there's companies on the coast doing this shit.
Yeah.
And they thought it was just like super wild. But we have a lot of older clientele that reaches out. They're like, yeah, I heard the Facebook's the place we need to be marketing.
The Facebook.
I'm like,
Facebook.
this is going to be a long pathway here.
They changed that name 2 years after Facebook started.
Right before I got out of the field as a plumber, I was in this like 90-year-old man's house. And this 90-year-old man was like fit, active, all with it up here, like spry old dude. You'd think he was in his 70s. And he was like I tell him what it's going to take to fix this problem, and I'm always chatting with people after we get through the presentation and everything else. Like as I'm doing the work, I'm going to chat with you. And so I'm like, what are you up to this weekend? And he's like, oh, I'm going on a date. And I'm like, a date at your age? He goes, yeah, I found this broad on Tinder and she is awesome. And I'm like,
Oh, she's on Tinder?
yeah. I'm like, oh my. And he's 90. He's probably crushing it.
I bet he is.
How many 90-year-olds are on Tinder, right? So any lady 70 and up, he's got like pigeonholed. Like this is, it's
He's
like
the guy.
yeah, he's like, it's like shooting fish in a barrel on Tinder at my age. This is awesome. Okay.
What a strat.
Yeah.
Dude, we could start marketing for those guys.
Oh yeah.
I don't
'Cause you
think
know they
they
got-
need it.
Why don't we start a separate dating
I
site
don't
just
think
for
they
them?
need it. Sounds like he's doing
They probably
pretty
got that.
well.
They got farmers only. They got Christians mingle. They got lots of them.
Yeah.
Dalton said geriatric only for those of you that can't.
You want to go dominate the dating site, you do like Boy Scout moms. Because a lot of those Boy Scout moms they're trying to raise their kids right and everything else, but they don't have dads in the like you could do like a Boy Scout moms dating thing and just crush it. So
Are we starting some side hustles?
yeah, I mean
It sounds like he's
Never.
thought about this over
Yeah.
here.
a lot of ideas. A lot of ideas.
Got pretty quiet.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. I think just the digital world, like I'm always just every day I'm looking at how I can learn more.
Yeah.
And it's evolving at a rate that I don't think people like understand.
Yeah.
Like especially now with AI in place and everything like that, like the pace of what humans learn at and pace of what AI is learning at is like
Insane.
yeah.
You just take ChatGPT images from 8 months ago to now.
It's insane. And that's the problem with most media and marketing companies in the space is that they got hung up on this idea from years ago that this is the only way to do it and this is how you do it for every company. And it's like just come in and figure out what the company is trying to do and use resources and understand that what we do now 18 months from now might not work.
Right.
And it's going to look different. But the reason that you want to be partnered with us is because we're always looking at those things and we understand that that's not going to be the same now to 18 months from now.
Yeah. It's like to your point on ChatGPT, like the image side of things.
A slog.
I made images like I don't know, probably 6 months ago that I mean they weren't worth a fuck.
Yeah.
Like
Had 7 fingers and
not even usable. Like and they couldn't figure out the spelling for anything.
yep.
Like I remember counts, I would sit there, I was like test stuff, and then like I have ads running right now with AI images of Dre and I that I posted in front of the office and it put like a comic book cover together.
Yeah, seen it. Yeah.
And it was just like I've had so many people reach out and they're like, who made that? I'm like, because the funny thing is I have a buddy that posted one. I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, what AI generator did you use for this?
Yeah.
He's like, dude, it was just through ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And he like sent me over his prompt for it, and I like threw it in. I was like, oh wow, like.
Well,
didn't
so
mess
like
up.
those action figures have been. I mean, it's kind of waned off now, but it was big trendy for a while.
Yeah.
And I've used it to create images before, but I threw in some really good prompts for that, and its first go round looked really good. Kind of had me looking a little John Cena-ish and a little short, but like 2 more correction prompts, and we were like dialed in.
I will say that one of Dre and I, he looks way more jacked
so
than he is.
Yeah.
Like, is.
Five
If
people.
I took my shirt off right now, you guys would be so surprised.
Like 5 people have asked Dalton and I if that's me and him, not you two. They think that Dalton
That's
is
funny.
you and I'm Dre.
Wild.
I
That's
mean,
a
look at it.
compliment.
It's
I don't
not
care.
that
Look at
far
Dalton.
off.
That's
I
a
don't care.
compliment.
Take it
We're-
however you guys want.
No,
It's you guys.
but it's not that far off. Like we're
Yeah.
all, similar builds outside of the height, but
he looked straight at you. On that.
I'm the tallest one here besides you. How tall are you?
I'm 6'1".
I'm the tallest one here besides you.
okay. Well, we're close then.
Well,
Why you
it's
call
not
me
a
out?
I mean, if look, it's a double hitter at
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah.
Multi-purpose. Yeah. Take it however. When people are like, "Hey, is that?" If people are like, "Is that you and Dalton?" You're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
No, Dre's been juicing. That's him.
Dre like puts back in. Can you make the guy on the left look a little more jacked?
Give him 4 inches. Give him more muscles.
Give him a
You
little
look
bit more trend.
But
That's good.
no. So, final question. I want to say this at the end. The fixed pipe pet dogs.
Yeah.
I love it. Where was that stem from?
So I was working out in the gym like 4 years ago, and I saw a shirt that said "Lift Heavy Pet Dogs," and I'm like, I could work with that. we don't have a slogan. We had always had like a dog thing. We did Wagon Wednesdays, like from literally the day, like the first day we opened the company, we started doing these Wagon Wednesday Facebook posts. I partnered with a local animal shelter, or it was like a foster agency. And I would showcase one of their dogs on Wednesday, and I'd tag them in it, and they'd share it. And it got us some visibility. And for like the first year and a half we were in business, we were doing that every week. And we had like a 60% success rate of a dog getting adopted within 5 days after we showcased them on our page. And
was that a passion thing from the beginning?
Kind of. It was kind of a passion thing. It was like really where the dog thing stems from is a lot of houses have dogs. And when you're inviting a service guy to your house, it's like, do you like dogs? Do you not like dogs? Do we need to put the dog away? And all of this. And it's like, hold on, let's recognize what's happening here, and let's brand the company around the dog. Because there's a lot of people where their dogs get treated better than their kids. And so like if we can showcase that we love dogs, then that's like a step into the house already. And so I already had that going on, and then I saw that shirt that said Lift Heavy Pet Dogs, and I'm like, Fix Pipes Pet Dogs, we're doing that. And so then I trademarked it, which I don't know why trademarking takes so effing long, but it does. Maybe it's since COVID, I don't know. I've never trademarked anything before COVID, but we trademarked our logo, and that took like 12 months, and then we trademarked Fix Pipes Pet Dogs, and that took 10 months. But yeah, now we own the trademark, so which was kind of weird because I thought I needed to trademark it to sell merch with this on it. And to get the trademark, you actually have to show proof of merch sales ahead of time. And so I'm like, all right, we're going to make a run of shirts. Who wants one? And I sold them for like $10. Like I was losing money on them. I just needed sales so I could show the trademark office like we make money on this slogan. And so they approved it.
Oh, wow.
But it kind of became like my little social media tagline and everything else of fixing pipes and petting dogs. And we take a lot of photos with it. We did like custom branded dog treats. They say Fix Pipes and Pet Dogs on them, or it'll have the Smedley logo. And like our guys,
I'm pretty sure I saw one of those around our office yesterday.
Yeah, so I gave a couple to the the video team.
Logan was eating it.
Yeah. Well, they are human. They're basically like gingerbread cookies.
The wild thing was she was trying to pitch. Is it Sid or Mazzoni? One of them had, and they were trying to pitch the other one to eat it.
Yeah,
like,
no, I looked at the ingredients though, and
they're
it's
human
like
grade.
Everything, like you could eat it.
Yeah.
Like it's basically a peanut butter.
They were
cookie.
all sitting there like, well, should we eat this? I'm like, go for it. If you eat a dog treat, I'm taking a photo of this, put it online.
Yeah, it's like a Biscoff cookie is really what it is.
Yeah.
But
You tried it?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first batch we got, they were icing. And so they could like lay on a very detailed graphic. And we're like, this is cool. Because now we can get the perfect logo and everything. Well, the dog's treats sit in our trucks.
Milk.
They lasted like 6 hours. And then the whole like 400 dog treats were ruined. And I'm like, damn it. And so they were like, we didn't think about that. So we're going to have to go with like impression ones that are less creative. And then they, the marketing company's great. They were like, we're going to refund you, keep them. So we gave them out as like non-photographic treats. But like our guys even have a protocol. Like if they give a dog a treat, they have to give it in view of the customer. Because if the customer doesn't even know you gave the dog a treat, like what was the point? The dog's not going to call you in the future,
Bro, they're back.
Our
dog loves us.
I think Duke's pretty close to talking, and
Yeah.
I think if he's going to get a cell phone soon, so he'll give you a shout.
And dogs are a better reader of humans than anybody else. So maybe maybe AI is gonna weasel in there, and you can get your dog's opinion on things. But so they have to be in view of the customer, and they have to photograph them giving it to the dog, which is kind of funny, making them photograph it, because sometimes those dogs are like really fast. And you get a photograph of like the guy getting his hand eaten. Like I was trying to line it up, and that dog ran out of patience.
Sweetest dog I've ever met.
Yeah. I would give somebody money to try to photograph giving Oakley a treat.
Oh yeah, a little meth head.
Yeah. He'd be like up. You would have mid belly shot there.
You see,
Second photo, that was cool, man.
Yeah. The Ohio, some police department in Ohio found a raccoon in I don't know if it was an abandoned car, a stolen car, or what. This was just yesterday. They roll up and their body cams catch it. They roll up on this that's got a raccoon in it smoking a meth pipe in Ohio.
I saw that.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
And I mean, there's an image, and this raccoon's just sitting there. Raccoons look like derpy anyway, and the raccoon's like sitting there like, what, man? And he's got the friggin' meth pipe in his mouth. It's like, wow, he probably
AI
stole
might
that
be
from your
getting
dog.
really good.
Or Ohio's just built different.
Yeah, don't let your dog go to Ohio. He'll
Yeah.
have a
Yeah,
fun time.
I think he's buying from one of the neighbor dogs out back.
Probably
Another
working deals
issue.
through the fence.
Yeah, they got little paws to get to the fence.
But yeah, like I do want to hit on one thing. So like you were mentioning, like, your automotive techs getting in a fight with their sales manager and then sitting out and scrolling social media and all that stuff. We kind of do something similar to that, and I'll have you guys do it eventually once this program picks up. But we're in a program in Johnson County where they put in sump pumps for free, and they walk up and they qualify the customer, and then they hand them a list of contractors, and they have to pick from a list. And most of these contractors don't do any advertising, and so I know what like zip codes the program's going into, and so I'll target those zip codes with social media ads, and the customer has no clue. Because how often do you really call a plumber? And then all of a sudden when that program says, okay, you're approved, pick from this list of 5 plumbers, they're going to pick the logo that they're the most familiar with. And they don't even realize that we've been peppering them with social media ads for a month before.
The crazy thing is we work with some security companies and over the years, and when a lot of them are door knockers, and when they go into a certain area, they'll give us zip codes before they get there.
Yep.
So we'll warn the area for 60 days before they arrive.
Yep.
But it increases the closing ratio by a ton.
Yeah.
But it's like you look at a certain area, like somebody walks up and they're like, I'm with so-and-so, and like, never heard of you, guy. Or you're like, they walk up and they're like, I'm with so-and-so. I'm like, I've seen these dudes' ads for like the last 3 weeks. Like,
Do you know Jeff I've been watching for last month? Yes, I do. Great buddy, hang out with him. I'll see him tonight.
Yep.
But like the crazy thing too is like we signed up an account last week, and the guy came in, and he comes in the office and he sits down in my office. He's like, bro, I have fucking blocked you guys so many times. He goes, I am sick and tired of seeing you on my social pages every day.
Yeah.
And he goes, I've blocked you 3 times. And he goes, and you still pop up. He goes, so I figured you guys have to know what you're doing.
You got to know what you're doing.
But I'm like, that's one way to get them.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on with you guys for like a month, and I keep getting all these notifications on our business Facebook that like your reels have, 600% improvement in increase in engagement and all this stuff. And it's like, man, we've been doing, I had an on-staff videographer for 2.5 years. We've been doing the content thing forever. I can make the content and I can make it interesting, but if I don't know how to put it in front of the right people that need to see it, it goes nowhere. And so that's been the cool part with you guys is you guys know how to get it where it needs to go.
That's the marketing team does a great job on researching industries, what content needs to look like, what's working well. But then, I mean, we have an amazing staff of editors.
Yeah.
That I'll say out of filming content, editing is probably one of the longest learning curves.
Yeah.
The majority of our editors are all 8-year plus editors.
Yeah.
And I mean, we got 6 to 8 of them now.
Yeah.
But it's like, I know how to edit. Ricky knows how to edit, and we can edit well.
Yeah.
But it's like,
These videos they put out, we were watching one the other day, and I'm like, dude, this is sick.
Today, I'm the vice president of the Police Athletic League of KC-Mo.
Okay.
Today, we have Graves, chief of KCPD. We have all of KCPD in there today, everything. And they're like, oh, we're going to show you this video for the gala that's coming up. So we work with the Chiefs Ambassador Group. There's a big gala that's coming up at the end of May. And they're talking about tables and stuff. And we have ads that are going out for selling tables. And Lauren's sitting next to me, Ricky's wife, and yeah, we're going to show you this video. I'm like, I look at her, I'm like, did we do a video? I don't even know. And she's like, I don't know if it's been edited yet. And they start playing this video. I'm like, I'm hoping this was us because I'm like, this is good.
Yeah.
And then they get done, thanks to Moss Marketing Group for getting this all knocked out and everything. I'm like,
sweet.
Good work. I'm like, that's the first time I've seen it. I'm like,
yeah.
But it was just crazy seeing the editing style that I was the filming was great, but I'm watching the editing. I'm like, I don't know which one of our editors did this, but this was lights out.
Yeah. So we with my videographer, like when we first started with the video thing, we were thinking it was going to be more of like a vlog than it was for marketing. And editing takes a lot of time to do it right. And so he would like film for a day and then edit for 3. And then film.
Vlogs do take a while.
They do.
I can agree with that.
So if you get on our YouTube, they don't have a lot of views.
Yeah.
But there's like 5 vlogs that live out there.
Yeah.
There's like a total fate.
Maybe
Max.
But Dre was vlogging in the office, and he had vlogged for the first like hour to 2 hours he was in the office. He edited the whole rest of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a terrible fucking waste of time.
Yeah. Well, so like we were starting down that, and we weren't to the point yet where we realized it was a waste of time. And I was still running calls at that time, and I went to a call in my neighborhood, and so we kind of knew these people a little bit. And I call them ahead of time like I always do, and they answer the phone and they say, "Yep, we're here." I'm like, cool. So I go there, and the front door's open, the storm door's closed. I ring the doorbell, nobody's there. And my videographer's not with me this day because he's editing. And so I ring the doorbell, nobody answers, and I'm like, oh, that's weird, the door's open, the TV's on. And because they were in my neighborhood and we quasi knew them, I felt comfortable enough to like open the door a little bit and just kind of holler in there like, hey, plumber's here. And I open the door and the TV's like on mute. And I open the door and I say, plumber's here. And I kind of sit there for a second and I hear like this really muffled breathing from around the corner. And I'm like, okay, somebody's here. And the hairs on the back of your neck stand up and all this. So I just walk into their house. The wife had left. The husband, who had just had open heart surgery, was like unconscious on the kitchen floor.
That's
and I'm
not
like,
where I saw that going.
Right. Well, I'm like, why don't I have my videographer with me at this moment? Like, this is gold. And so, like, obviously not the tragedy of it, but, like, so
Walk back outside, get here
now, right?
We gotta save the guy. We need to save this guy before I save him. I need to get on camera.
I gotta set up the cameras before I do the good. But, like, I'm gonna save him, and then when you
it's
get
for
here,
YouTube. You don't understand.
when
Sir,
you
can
get here,
back on the ground. I'm filming this now.
I'm gonna punch him and knock him out again, and we're gonna.
Now there's a black eye on top.
Yeah, but like. So I get there, and this guy's a large guy. And so, like, I call 911, and they're like, are you comfortable with all this? I'm like, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And they were like, try to get him to sit up. And, like, you could see the scar. Like, he had recently had surgery. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but, like, the guy's not breathing very well. He's incoherent and all this. A fire station's, like, a block and a half from our house. And so they were there within, like, 3 minutes. And they take over and all of this. And I'm like, okay, from that day forward, I need an off-site editor so I can be videoing everything. Like, I don't want to miss anything. So I hired a virtual assistant for an editor in the Philippines. And I'm not a techie guy. And so I'm like, my videographer, I'm like, Austin, you film everything, and then we're just going to put it on Google Drive and send it to the Philippines. And we're going to let him edit it and then send it back. I didn't realize, like, how big video files are. And it would take, like, 9 hours to send an hour worth of raw content to the Philippines.
So our office, we've had to have like wild internet service plugged into the office. We have huge servers in the back of the office. You want to talk about the most unsexy money to ever spend?
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, guys, we servers and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, we have to figure out how we can't. There's no way we can edit everything in the walls.
Yeah.
I go, it's not scalable.
Yeah.
So I start everyone starts to put their brains together to try to figure this out. And they're bringing me solutions. I'm like, yeah, what am I? I'm going to put my fucking house up? We trade my house for servers?
We can get this really large server. It's only $275.
Yeah.
It's like 275,000. We have that. We can do that. And then we can just transfer storage.
So you start looking at servers and stuff. And I'm like,
what?
I'm having all this stuff sent to me. And I'm like, this is
crazy.
This is not cool at all.
Well, so like after we went through that, I was like, okay, the VA thing is not working, right?
I thought you were thinking about getting a GoPro.
Right.
A GoPro.
The meta
I'll
glasses.
get you all the content.
I'll get back to you after each step.
Well, so we canned the overseas editor, like, this is not working. Like, it took us 9 hours to send it to him. It would take him 2.5 days to send it back. Because from the Philippines this way.
The dude stand outside of his house.
Yeah. It's like smoke signals. I think it's what it was. But So then I'm out to lunch with another buddy of mine he's like big in the tech space. And he was like, dude, you did that way wrong. He was like, you buy a fancy computer that can edit videos and you let him patch into your computer, just remote into your computer, and he edits it on your computer. No internet speeds, no nothing. And I'm like, oh, that would have been nice to know like 6 months ago. So there you go. Just get a wall of big computers and then have your overseas editors just do it that way.
Yeah.
So I will say now it's like when we bring on, used to it's like someone come on, it's like, yeah, we like, you have a camera, you have a computer, great. Now it's like people come on, it's like we're looking at, it's like, hey, Macs really like to upgrade all their stuff like 10x every year.
Yeah.
And then make it like 10x more expensive.
Yeah.
So then it's like we sit there and we get these computers that's like, someone comes on, it's like, all right, we need a $5,000 computer.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Here we have a camera. It's like we have, I don't even know how many cameras at this moment we have. I could look, but
Yeah.
That's
we
part of your
have a
job.
fair
You're supposed to
amount.
have that.
You're supposed to know that,
Good job.
bro.
we have a fair amount. I would have to look at the
Let everyone
spreadsheet.
know that you're
Yeah.
not doing your job, but
But
that's fine.
it's like you sit there, it's like all these things now, it's like used to, it's like someone come on, it's like there wasn't really an overhead cost. It's like, hey, you're coming on the team. Now it's like, hey, this is like the needs
Yeah, oh, yeah.
of people coming on. It's like, that was another thing that kind of hit us a little hard
Yeah.
as skill came on.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, the onboarding is actually twice, or actually more than twice, but it's very expensive that first month
Yeah.
someone starts.
Yep.
well, it's
that
you
we
don't
want-
have the calculated expense as you scale.
Oh, yeah.
That early days when you don't have all the processes built out and all that, it's like it was kind of Mickey Mouse together, and it was like we'll figure it out. We kind of Mod Podge the whole thing together, but then it also comes to a point where when you're going to truly build a business for scale, that's where I went and found investor money. That's where I found it to where it's like,
Yeah.
we're going to do this, we're going to do it correctly.
Yep.
But now we have a set system that it's like we know that every new hire cost X. I mean, we're buying computers now in mass,
Yeah.
where it's like we go in, we buy 12 MacBooks
Yeah.
at a time.
Yeah.
To where they're stacked up ready to where it's, it used to be like when somebody would start, they're like, dang, can you go get them a computer?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'll try to make it out there this week. But now it's just like, yeah, go grab one out of the stack. And
Yep.
When the
market to
Mac
'em.
store starts knowing us by first names.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you're back.
Good.
It's called the Apple Store,
Yeah. Apple Store.
not the Mac Store.
Mac Store. Yeah, I mean, you're speaking my language there because, like, we're probably $170,000 to hire a plumber. And not salary. Like, by the time we do uniforms and technology, you know, their phones and tablets and everything else, you know, truck, inventory, shelving, tools, like the whole 9 yards, it's about 170 grand before we can even hire somebody.
A single content creator for us is like, we're a 2-man team's like 100 to 125.
Yeah.
But it's like, you add that up in the marketing space, people are like, what?
Yeah.
And like, trust me, there's a lot of really unsexy stuff that you spend money on.
Yeah.
Like when you're talking, to your point, like shelves and things like that.
Yep.
The whole shelving inside of the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's like people are like, no, it comes that way.
Yeah.
I'm like, someone had to build it.
Yeah.
Just to let you know.
Yeah.
But no, I talk hours
Oh, yeah.
with you, and
I can go
it's
forever.
I like what you're doing business wise. I like the thought process behind it. It makes sense why you're in the consulting side too.
Yeah.
There's some people I've had on the podcast. I'm like, you need to consult in your respected area,
Yeah.
and so that very much makes sense.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah,
It's a fun thing. It's really cool to, we'll bring a guy into Tradewinds and he'll be like, yeah, I've been in business 3 years. I'm still in one truck. I'm trying to get to 2 trucks. And I've just never been able to do it. And like, he'll be in Tradewinds for 2 months and he's already got a guy in a second truck. He's like, man, you guys did in 2 months what I couldn't do in 3 years.
yeah.
And it's just like, I don't want to say like Tradewinds gets the credit for that. Like he did all the work. We just kind of cleared the trees from the forest so where he could actually see the path.
Yeah, and sometimes you just have to show people the road, and it's the same thing we talk about in the business all the time, that if you want to go somewhere, you have to have the roadmap to get there.
Yeah.
And for the longest time in business, I didn't have the roadmap. I didn't know where I was going.
Yeah.
So that's why we were struggling.
Yep.
Once we got very calculated on what content looks like on scale, what marketing looks like at scale, what sales looks like in scale,
Yep.
like then all of a sudden it just like all started coming together.
Right.
But I think that's where there's a lot of business owners that can save years of time that's also to the same point, like when you go in a store and they're like, hey, can I help you find something? You're like, nah, I got it.
Yeah.
You just go roam around for like 10 minutes and you're like, okay, I need to go find somebody.
Yeah.
Tell me where this is at. I can't find it.
It's like the guy at Home Depot that's there for an hour because he refuses to ask the associate where something is.
Now I walk right in there, like, can I help you find something? Like, yeah, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, right there. I'm like,
Trash cans, where are they
perfect.
at?
Can you
Row
walk
14.
me to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, it used to be I was the person that never asked for help. Now I walk in, the first person I see,
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, can you help me?
I'm trying to find something, someone.
They
Like,
say row 14. I'll walk up and down row 14. I'm like, I still can't find
Still
it.
can't find it.
But no, it's, I don't know. I think just in business, I think seeking help, talking with other business owners, like,
Yeah.
that's ultimately how you win the game.
Yep.
You have to understand how the game's played.
Yeah.
So,
And too, like, you know that anybody that's winning in business wants to see other people win.
for sure.
So, like, the people that look like they're winning but they aren't winning, those are the people that are gonna like try to hold you down.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll never get flack from somebody that's farther down the path than you.
Yeah.
They, game recognizes game, and so they realize what you're going through. So
Yeah, that's the third time I've heard that today.
But,
is it?
Yeah.
But
true.
it's a very
Yeah.
true statement.
Yeah.
and when you start surrounding yourself with those kind of people,
Yep.
like, there comes to a point where the proof is, you can't turn your head to proof.
Right.
And it's like, I have people come in all the time, and I have business owners. Like, I've literally had people come in, like, well, I just don't know if social media is the move. I was kind of looking around. I was like,
Maybe if you're selling typewriters.
if you just look around. I go, the proof is us.
Yeah.
The writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
I go, this is what social media built.
Yeah.
I go, both these office locations, 40 plus team members. I'm like, this was all built from social.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm like,
they can't shop with you if they don't know who you are.
yeah.
And social media is how everybody finds out everything today.
And it's wild how many business owners come our way that have amazing product and service that people just never know about.
Yep.
That it's not always the best product and service that wins. It's just the product and service that people know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was,
takes marketing.
yeah.
Yep.
Because early days, I'm not going to say early days we had the best product or service. We were just way more well known.
Yeah.
As time, like, we've just always focused very heavily on increasing what that is.
Yep.
So it happens, but
But that all
think you
happens, like I said,
you have to be seen.
straight back from feedback.
Right.
It's like we need to know we can do better.
Yep.
It's the same thing. It's like in any industry, if you just think you're the best the day you start, you won't succeed.
No.
But it'd be like we fell on our face. We're still falling on our face.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, we will keep falling on our face, but it's like that's how we learn, that's how we get better, and that's what will initially push us forward faster.
Yeah. I've got a plumber on a job right now that's gone south where this plumber's only been with us for 4 months. And we bought a special piece of equipment for this job. We're trying something we've never done before. Literally day one of using the equipment, we ruined it. $1,200 piece of equipment, and it's gone. And he's all freaking out. And I'm like, dude, this is cool. Like, I like this. I like you trying something new and be willing to break stuff. Don't think I'm mad.
Yeah.
And
Do it on the second one, I get you.
yeah. You make the same mistake twice, it'll be different. But like, we didn't even know what a mistake looked like until we made it. And then now that we know what that looks like, okay, just don't do that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the trial and error and be willing to stick your neck out there for something.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
I don't think I have any.
All right. I appreciate you being on.
Yeah.
I really
Thanks
do.
for having me.
Like I said, there's people that get on that all of a sudden an hour and a half disappears and doesn't even seem like it.
Yep.
So if you need your plumbing, this is your guy to hit up.
Yeah.
But we'll tag everything below for your business.
There you go.
And thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Easy number to remember, 816 Smedley.
There it is. That's M3 Podcast. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.